Welcome. In this video, we will discuss about the President's power to pardon. We will discuss about the powers of President in US as well as the corresponding powers which are provided to the Indian President. So this is the context of this video. We will start with the what is the present scenario, why this particular pardoning power of President of US was in use, and then we'll try to contrast and compare the powers of the President in US versus the pardoning power of the President of India. So let's start. So President Donald Trump recently exercised his power under the Constitution to pardon Michael Flynn, his former security advisor. So NSA, he is the National Security Advisor to the Trump, and recently what Trump did, he exercised his constitutional power to pardon him. And why he pardoned him or under which case? So he pardoned Michael Flynn, who had been accused to lying to FBI two times. So he has been accused of lying to FBI twice, and because of it he was under the investigation. But the Donald Trump had gone ahead and used his constitutional power to pardon, and under which he actually pardoned the Michael Flynn. What is the extent of power of US President? Now this is something for the UPSC perspective is important for you to know, that what are the extent or like how it is actually different from the one which is there in India. So US President has the constitutional right to pardon or commute sentences related to federal crimes. So related to the federal crimes, he could either pardon or could also commute. Commute means could change the nature of the punishment, so that both of these power are actually assigned to him or are provided in the Constitution of US itself. This power is granted without limit and cannot be restricted by the Congress. So now this is an important point, that Congress does not actually have any say in terms of how the constitutional right of the president to pardon is utilized. The clemency, which is the broad executive power, so there is a associated term called clemency, which is basically the broad executive power. Over there, if you know, in US president had the executive powers. So over there, clemency is a broad executive power and is discretionary, meaning it is actually dependent on the president wish and will. So if he go through the case and if he finds that this particular case could get pardoned or could get commuted, he has all the discretion to go ahead and do that. The president is not answerable for his pardon. So how he decided, on which case he decided to give pardon, he is not answerable anywhere and does not have to provide a reason for issuing one. So even in the case of providing pardon, he does not have to issue any reason. Like, first of all, he has the complete right. Congress does not have any right in terms of that. Congress over there is actually what you could understand as parliament in India. So Congress does not exercise any right over the pardoning power of the president. Then over here, this right is particularly discretionary, which means it is up to the wish and will of the president, and also he is not answerable to anybody. Like nobody will ask for the reason of why he has to go ahead and give the pardon. So these are the powers. So if you actually look at it, it's quite huge and quite extraordinary power which has been given to the US president. Even then, there are few limitations. Like if you look at the terms we just discussed, it actually look like unlimited, but there are certain limitations. The first one is it cannot be exercised in cases of impeachment. So for an example, when the impeachment is going on, or there is a like the punishment is actually in the form of punishment, then impeachment, then the punishment cannot be pardoned by the president. The power only applies to federal crimes and not the state crimes. So this is also one of the major point to remember over here, that the power, even though it is unlimited in its extent, it is only limited to the federal crimes, and the state crimes the president of the US does not have any right to pardon. So if you think about it, it is actually also along the line that the federal structure of US is quite strong as compared to India, where we have more of a federal system with unitary feature. But in the US, it is actually the proper federal structure where the states also have the independency as well as the center. So this is the basic difference between the system in the US as well as the system in the India. Now let's move forward and try to understand the clemency powers of the Indian President under Article 72. So Article 72 is the one which provide for the pardoning power of the President. Just remember, Governor also has the pardoning power. So go ahead to your Lakshmikant and see all the powers which has been mentioned and what all powers could be exercised by the Governor. In this particular video, we will focus for the President's power. It says that what does the Article 72 say? So it says that the President shall have the power to grant pardons, reprieves, respites or remissions of punishment. So basically he could grant pardon, which means he could go away with the punishment altogether, or he could grant reprieves, which means, for an example, if the execution or a capital punishment is about to happen, he could give it a reprieve, which means for a particular time it could be delayed or stayed. So reprieve. Then respites. Respites means, for an example, if the punishment is given to a woman who is pregnant or a person who is disabled, so some kind of respite could be provided to them. Or remissions, which is the case that the overall duration of the punishment could be reduced. So these kind of things could be done by the President. Also, he could suspend, remit or commute the sentence of any person convicted of any offense. So he could suspend, again, like he could get done with the sentence, or he could remit it, or he could commute it. So all these three options in terms of sentences of any person is also available to the President. So this is the pardoning power. Go back to your Lakshmikant, you will see there will be under 5 category he has divided the powers of President. So you will learn pardon, then commute, reprieve, respite and remission. So these are the powers which are provided to the President of India. Now, when can these powers would be exercised by the President? So in all cases where the punishment or sentence is by a court-martial. So the case of court-martial can only be pardoned by the President, and such power do not exist for the Governor. Then in all cases where the punishment or sentence for an offence against any law relating to a matter to which the executive power of the Union extends. So President can actually pardon any conviction or any offence in which the Union law was violated, or in all the cases where the sentence is a sentence of death. Again, the sentence of death could not be pardoned by the Governor but can only be pardoned by the President. So this is also the comparative study between the powers of Governor and President. So Governor also has all the pardoning power as is provided to the President, but he cannot, first of all, excuse or could pardon in the case of where the Union list is executed, or he cannot even pardon the death case, even though if it is under the state territorial. And also he has no right to go ahead and decide for court-martial. For Governor, these 3 limitations are there, but President can provide pardon or commit the sentence or any other sort of measures which is available to him under the Article 72 for the court-martial as well. And the death sentence, the sentence of death could be pardoned only by the President. So this is something which you need to know. Now let's also try to understand what is the limitation of power on the President. So the power of pardon shall be exercised by the President on the advice of Council of Ministers. Now this is a very important point for you to remember, that unlike in US where the power to exercise the pardoning power of the President was discretionary. So in US it was discretionary. The President could decide on his own. On the other hand, in India, the power of pardon of President shall be exercised on the advice of the Council of Ministers. The Constitution does not provide for any mechanism to question the legality of the decisions of the President or Governors exercising mercy jurisdiction. So basically under the Constitution there was no provision that they have to provide reason or they have to provide why they pardoned somebody. But in the Supreme Court case, in the Ipru Sudhakar case, just remember this name, Ipru Sudhakar case, Supreme Court has given a small window for judicial review of the pardon powers of the president and governors for the purpose of ruling out any arbitrariness. So basically, earlier, or the constitution itself has not defined any mechanism of judicial review in case of the president exercising his pardoning power. But in Ipru Sudhakar case, Supreme Court said that the it could actually do a judicial review on pardoning power if it finds the power to be used in the arbitrary manner. So this is something which you can ask as the limitation on the power of President of India in terms of his pardoning powers. So I hope you have understood this video. This topic is again very important from your polity perspective. So go ahead, this is your cue. Go ahead and revise your pardoning powers of the president from the Lakshmikant book. So I hope you understood this video. If you have any doubt, feel free to drop a comment. Thank you.